So today we're going to talk about sous vide.
I'm going to tell you all about how to do it in your Instant Pot pressure cooker, and then we're going to use the sous vide method to cook up some steaks.
Yeah, so we've got some great New York steaks here, but we're going to show you how to do the displacement method. With our steaks, we had a sealer, and so we've got them all vacuum sealed.
Barbara has a sealer at her house. I do not have a vacuum sealer at my house, so I use the trusty water displacement method. The first thing you're going to need is a really good ziplock bag that's freezer safe. You want the double zippers, just to make sure that no air will get in this bag, because if you get the water in the bag, then it's not so good for your steak.
So we're going to show you how to do it using a potato, because that will help weigh it down.
Yeah, I'm Jen.
And I'm Barbara.
And we're with Pressure Cooking Today. One of the reasons I really like sous vide for steak, it cooks it to the exact temperature all the way through. And so when you get like a traditional like barbecue steak or pan-seared steak, the outsides are always cooked more than the inside, if that makes sense, because the heat goes through it, right?
Right. And one day I was cooking steak for my son for dinner, and I was using the sous vide method, and he was running late. I'm like, "Where are you?" And he's like, "Sorry, I forgot." But since I was doing it sous vide, it could just hold, and it was awesome.
It was really, really nice. So the sous vide, there's kind of like a minimum and a maximum time you can cook it. And with these steaks, it's like between like an hour to 3 hours before it starts to break down the actual texture of the steak.
Yeah, so in steakhouses, sometimes they'll do a sous vide, and then it's easy for them to just finish it off and get it out to the customers.
So first off, in sous vide, you have to have the food in a completely airtight as possible with as little air pockets, because if there's an air pocket, it's preventing that hot water from reaching the surface of the meat or of whatever you're going to cook in it. And so you want to make sure if there's like little air pockets, it's okay. But like if there's an air pocket that's a significant size, then you probably want to reseal it. So when using a vacuum bag, I will hit sous vide. I will let the water come up to temperature, and then I will put in my food. But I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to hot foods. And so I like to do the water displacement method either before and then take the food out and wait for it to come to temperature. I don't usually wait. I usually just do it. So
yeah, so you usually start with just warm tap water.
Yeah, this is just warm from the sink. Again, I didn't want to do hot because I didn't want it to hurt my hands, as my hands are right there in the water. So I take my meat or potato or whatever, and I'm gonna press out as much air as I can already. And I'm gonna seal it up so it's almost all the way sealed. Just leave like, I don't know, an inch or less. So there's just a little tiny thing that's still open. You can see that I've pushed out a lot of air, but there's still some air in there. So I'm gonna let the water push the air out for me. So I'm gonna lower my potato, or at home when I do this, my steaks in nice and slow. And
you can see how it kind of, the plastic sucks around the potato tighter as you're doing this.
So, and this is why I like to do it with not lava hot water, because my hands are in this water. So you can see I've got my air bubble. Can you open that up a little bit? I think it closed on me. Just open that up so we can keep pushing that air out. And once you want to get right up to the water line. So everything's pushed out, and then you want to just seal it up. There you go. Double check it. And then one way to check that your thing worked, you see there's a little bit of air there, but that's not too much. But one way to check is if you put it in and it floats, then it's not sealed. This one sunk right to the bottom. It's resting on the trivet that we've got in the bottom. When you do the sous vide setting, you want to make sure you have a trivet, just the low trivet that came with your pressure cooker, so that you don't have the food right in contact with the heating surface. Just keeping it up, make sure that it can be surrounded by the water that's all the same temperature. So this one I think is good enough. And again, with the water displacement method, if you've got a big air bubble, it's totally okay to pull it out, open it up, and try to like smooth that air bubble out all over again.
Got some there. We can just
push it out. You do want to make sure that the zipper top stays above the water line, because you do not want to get water into your into your
Bag.
zip bag.
Yeah.
So that is the water displacement method. If you have any questions, leave them below in the comments and we'll get to them. We just wanted to make sure that you
See that method,
both
and
methods.
if you don't have the seal, you can go ahead and do it.
So I like the vacuum sealer a little bit better for sous vide because with a Ziploc, there is a very small chance that there might be a little hole in the bag or something and water could get up in there. With the vacuum sealer, you know that's not going to happen. So let's select sous vide and let's get this water heated up.
So we're going to press sous vide.
And then for sous vide, you can select a time, you can select a temperature. For these steaks, we tested them at 132 and at 137. 132 is kind of closer to medium rare, and 137's medium, a little bit closer to medium well, but it's a good solid medium. So I like 137 best.
Okay.
And then hit start, and it's gonna start heating up. The sous vide is a really gentle heating system. So it will take a little while for the water to reach temperature, because if it just turned on to straight up boil, the water would go above the temperature they want it at. And so it'll go faster, and then the closer it gets to that 137 target that we told it to do, it's gonna go slower to ensure that it gets just to that temperature. So since we've got vacuum sealed steaks, we're gonna just wait for this water to come to temperature, and then we'll go from there.
So we put the lid on so that it would preheat a little bit faster.
Yeah. The user manual for your Instant Pot will tell you to do sous vide with the lid on and the valve adjusted to the venting position. So take that off. It is the right temperature, so we're gonna just kind of lower these down. You wanna make sure that they are side by side. You don't want them one on top of the other. You don't want, ooh, it's hot.
There we go.
Low like that, nice and good.
Yeah.
Side by side. So again, we'll put the lid on and then we'll be back. It's probably we'll do about 60 minutes, 75 minutes.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and put the lid on. Okay. And then on the Pro model that we're using, it automatically switches. So you have to be sure that you put it on venting, because that's how you're going to want to cook it in sous vide.
Yeah, you don't want it to build pressure in your pot. That's the opposite of what you want.
All right,
so we'll be back.
Okay, so our steaks have been in the sous vide for about 90 minutes.
Yep. So lid off. And there's no steam because this is not a pressure cook setting.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get the steaks out.
Hot water. And we are done with this, so I'm gonna move all this hot water before I burn myself.
Okay. Okay, so now we need to cut open our sous vide steaks. I'm just gonna cut the bag open with some
Do you want me to
scissors.
Use the tongs, you hold it up, I'll tongue. There we go. Womp.
Okay. We dump that juices in the sink.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to grab the salt and pepper.
That's right, and I'm gonna just start patting them dry. You want these guys to be nice and dry when you put them on your hot griddle. You can also finish these on the grill, the barbecue, but it is a lot easier for filming purposes to film here.
Yeah, so you probably really want to salt and pepper these before you put them in the bag, but we
The recipe said to do that, we just
quit.
we were in a hurry. Flip them over?
Yeah, let's do both sides. Okay. We already have our cast iron pan heating up.
And you really, if you're gonna finish these on the stovetop, you need a good hot pan. So when I am making these at home on my stove, I generally will start preheating our pan about 10 minutes before the cook time is through. We also have an avocado oil here. Avocado oil has a really high smoke point, like 500 degrees. You can use olive oil in a pinch. It has a lower smoke point, but do not use canola oil. That one has such a low smoke point, you're gonna set off all the fire alarms in your house.
So we have how many, 2 tablespoons?
3 tablespoons. So do you think this is hot enough? All right.
It's hot.
Here we go. Oh yeah, that is hot. So I don't.
So if you prefer, you can do these on the grill as well.
Yeah, and that's my preferred way to do it because you can see all this. It gets a little smoky. You definitely can smell it. This is a great meal for a splurge, but I generally like to keep the smell outside.
So while those are searing, you just want that nice browning on there to get that flavor. We're gonna go ahead and make a Parmesan
garlic Parmesan butter. So it's just a little bit of garlic powder, a little bit of salt, a little bit of parsley for color, and a good amount of Parmesan cheese. That's
freshly grated.
Yep. Do we want to check those, Mom? Yeah, we gotta. So I like to make this butter a little bit earlier in the day and just let it sit and be ready. Or make it while I'm waiting during the sous vide process. One thing that's nice about the sous vide is that you know these steaks are cooked through. And you're just finishing them on the pan or on the grill to get that nice appearance, right? We eat with our eyes as well, and so that nice crunch on the outside, it's really lovely.
With that browning flavor.
But just like a minute or 2 on each side is all you should need if your pan is hot enough. And that's how you ensure that your meat doesn't get cooked past medium or medium rare. On our platter.
Looks pretty good to me. What do you think? You want a little more on this side?
Sure.
With your fat crisped up.
Sure. See, Mom is braver than me. That oil is popping.
All right, we're just going to turn that off. Go ahead and plate it up.
Okay. And then while each steak is just fresh off, like right away, add that butter. Another spoon? Yeah, that'd be perfect. Add that butter. You get a ton of flavor from the butter, and it starts to melt almost immediately. Take over.
Yeah, so if you want, you could just get that butter to spread all over that steak. Look at that, the browning. The butter, that's the way they serve it at a steakhouse, with a little bit of butter on top, so it gets that awesome flavor. I'm going to serve that up with some
baked potatoes
and some fresh broccoli.
One thing, you will see some sous vide recipes that call for putting butter inside the bag. Others don't. We opt to not, because a lot of the flavor compounds in meats are soluble in fats, which means that all those juices you saw come out of the pot are going to go, a lot of the flavor, if you add the butter in there, the flavor will go with the juices, and you want the flavor to stay with the meat. So we prefer to butter it at the end, but again, as always, use what works best for you in your kitchen. You can almost watch it. Once that air hits it and it oxidizes, it turns pink, pink, pink. So it starts off as kind of like that brown steak color, and over time it will turn pinker and pinker and pinker until it looks just like that medium rare. And the color is the whole way through, because you're not cooking it, as long as you didn't sear it too long, the color will stay the same the whole way through.
So I just can't resist. I think we have to have a little bite. You want a bite?
Go for it.
That's so much flavor. Excellent.
And the steak is really tender because you cooked it sous vide. It doesn't dry out. It stays real nice.
So there is a steak dinner fit for a king.
If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching. Bye.